This is how to fix everything wrong with your bedroom in 24 hours. Whenever you move into a new place, the bedroom is usually the struggle because of two things. First of all, you put off decorating it because it's a private space, so you're more focused on areas like the living room and the kitchen where your guests are gonna see. Second of all, it's literally where you sleep and relax. There can be a lot of different factors that come into play for you getting good sleep. If you feel like you're indecisive and you've been holding off on fixing issues in your home because you want to do one giant makeover or you're not sure exactly what style, this is going to solve that problem. The great thing about doing a 24-hour fix is that you're not really focused on styling and designing. You only have time to prioritize the most important issues. And I am a pretty firm believer that no matter what, you can make your space work for you. I've lived in my apartment for over 2 years, and there were a lot of issues that I just felt like I had to deal with. I held off on those because I never felt like it was really important enough, and I didn't realize the toll it was taking physically and mentally on me every single day. By taking 24 hours, you're also giving yourself permission to dedicate a full day just to doing your space, even if you think there's more important things to do. And by taking this time to fix the most important issues, you're going to eliminate so much stress in your daily life. The biggest mistake people make is not focusing on the top priorities. You're gonna look at your space and you're gonna think about what colors you want it to be, what textiles you want, what you want the design to be, all these different fun things. And you let yourself be distracted by that so you never actually get to the real issues. I would tell myself, once I figure out my whole design plan for the space, I'm gonna make it over all at once. But what actually happens is if you fix the most important functional issues first, you're going to find that it's way easier to do all of those design styles after. It's going to let you visualize your space in a way that you weren't able to before. If I looked at this space at a first glance and I had to pinpoint what the most important issues were, this is probably what I would say. This isn't straight. The sheets could be maybe a little bit nicer. There's a lot of junk over here. Artwork on the walls needs to be straightened up. Maybe some different artwork that matches a little bit better. This shelf is a little bit messy over here. Probably could be a little bit nicer. Wood is raw. It's not finished off. The reason really good design takes so long is because it's based on your routine and your habits. You need time to be able to establish your daily routines so you can understand where those main problems are. This is also why it's important to do your functional things before you start thinking about style. You're going to essentially test it out with your daily routine and you're going to see how it works for you and how you need to structure the rest of your space around it. When you come up with your list of the most important things, don't start with the fun thing. Do the most important things first, because at the end of your 24 hours, you're going to realize that you did all the things that mattered less and you left the most important thing to the very end, and now you're running out of time. And the whole point was to fix the most important thing and you weren't able to do it. Here are the actual main functional issues of the space based off of how I use it. The duvet has no cover on it. This is really important because we can't wash it, so it's gonna get dirty. I obviously have this giant gap here. If I need to put something on the side table, I kind of can't. Either I have to reach all the way behind here, which I rarely do, or I have to reach and put it on here. We tend to put things like contact lenses and other bedroom stuff on here, which is part of the kitchen. So then this gets dirty, and we wanna keep this separate, so it's part of the kitchen. The storage area under here is not organized, so it makes it very difficult to get stuff in the back. This is covered up, so we don't see any of these issues, and I wouldn't immediately call it out as a problem. But functionally, it's difficult to use, so it's a main priority. This is not a main priority. I don't really care about making this look painted, making it look finished, covering up the screws, because it does the job, and I can choose to fix that another day once I have my whole entire design ready. This isn't what your space is going to permanently look like, and don't be afraid to do quick fix solutions, because more often than not, they're going to stay longer than you think they will, and they're going to help you make better design decisions in the future. Now that we know specifically what our top priorities are, we're going to get to the fun part and just take everything down for a clean slate. Yo, 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 yo. A lot of people don't realize this, but you can actually build things in real life the same way you build things in Minecraft. If you have a small space or a unique space, don't be afraid to build your own stuff. The best part is you don't need to be a pro, you don't even really need to know how to do it, and it also doesn't really need to look good either. I personally feel that you'll have a much better living experience if everything in your house fits exactly where you need it for convenience versus if everything looks nice, brand new, and polished, but it doesn't really fit with your lifestyle. Custom builds by far make the biggest impact in making a small space look bigger because they allow you to actually use every single square inch of the entire space how you need it. You basically can design it so there's no space being wasted at all. So let me show you my plan for the bedroom. All I'm doing is putting a board across here and then a board on top to be my side table. I can cut this all out from one 4x8 sheet of plywood. I had them do some cuts for me and then I'm gonna do some myself. What I'm gonna do first is cut out the 8-inch strip that's gonna be my tabletop essentially, and I want to inset it a little bit, so I'm gonna take off the 3/4 that's gonna be the allowance of the thickness of the plywood. First mishap of the day, we came in short here. I think this was just my fault. I was gonna measure it again just to be sure, but I didn't. So I think that's just on me, but it's okay because I think it'll be fine. It's fine, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna push this a little bit more so this way I can use this gap for cords and chargers and stuff. Trying to make this straight, it doesn't quite fit. Like I can't seem to straighten it out. I really want it to be snug with the mattress and I think I measured it out so everything should fit. I'm actually gonna attach these two together and then see if I can fit it in that way. Not too bad. I didn't really think about how I wanted to secure this on, did I? That might be a problem. But not one we can't solve. I think I'm gonna secure it by putting something in between here and then just nailing it in and then doing the same thing on the other side. Everything works out except that this is a little bit wobbly because there's a gap and I don't want to be hearing that noise. But before we do that, I'm getting a little concerned that the bed isn't going to fit back in here. It might be like a couple inches too narrow. So I'm gonna put that on just to see how that works. Okay, well it kind of depends on who you ask. I think it's a little bit more squished. It's coming over a little bit where it wasn't before. I'm happy with leaving it like this, and I can always adjust it in the future if I need to, but it's not gonna be today. This is also pretty much solved, and like I'll reinforce it another day, but for now does the trick. Put my stuff up here. Sometimes you just need to buy stuff. This is your sign to just buy that thing that you've been putting off. I know it's expensive. It's gonna hurt your pockets, but I promise it'll be worth it. You might have something else that technically works, but if every single day you're thinking, wow, that's really old and I need to replace it, or wow, that's not as good as it could be, just bite the bullet. Just take a day to do all of the things. This is gonna be one of the things. Just buy it. For me, it's new sheets. And don't hold off on buying sheets because you're trying to find like the perfect fancy sheets and like with the color scheme and the different top sheet and the pillows. Just buy plain white sheets. You're gonna need more than one set of sheets anyway, so these are gonna be your backup sheets. And then once you find the perfect sheets that fit the rest of your decor, they can be your primary sheets. These will just be your backup sheets. And you know what? If you really hate them, you can return them. So it doesn't matter what they look like, you just need to have good sheets. By the way, blue, great color to put in your pillows. It's really a smart choice to do. These are Bear mattress pillows. We got them for free because we had a Bear mattress. They came free with the mattress. Then we returned the mattress because the mattress sucked. So don't get Bear mattresses or their pillows. But if you get them for free, then they're usable. So funny money love, so I'm a big fan of dump zones, but dump zones only work if they're organized enough so that you have space to dump your things in. And I do think in a small apartment, or especially a studio apartment, lofting your bed like this gives you so much extra space. I can basically crawl all the way in there. The goal here is to make everything that I store under my bed as accessible as possible. We are going to have some stuff that's pushed in the back that we won't touch very often, but in general, the goal is accessibility. Home organization is a balance between everything having a place so that you put it back regularly and things don't get messy, but also having certain zones where you dump the things that you don't feel like putting away, and then every once in a while you kind of clear out those spaces. And I don't think you can always put away every single thing you own regularly all the time. So ideally, all the things that I keep in here regularly have their own spot. Then the middle is going to be kind of a dump zone for storing temporary large objects that I need to put away so that they aren't in the rest of my apartment. And every once in a while, we'll come in, we'll take a look at what's in the dump zone, and we can clear it out. So right now, what we need to do is take everything out to figure out how we can reorganize it and get rid of the stuff that we're not using anymore. As you can see, it's pretty darn spacious in here. I personally really love areas like this, like little storage areas that you can kind of crawl into. I remember my mom had a storage closet in the back of her bedroom, and it wasn't quite a walk-in closet, but you could crawl into it if you were little enough, and I loved hanging out there. There was like velvet or like carpet all along the walls, and it was so fun to hang out in there and like look through jewelry and stuff. So that's what this kind of reminds me of. What I'm gonna do is take all of my things that I actually need to store here and put them in first, and then that'll kind of leave me with everything else that I don't really need. I don't know if that's really the best way to do it, but I think that's just what I'm gonna do. Because anything really important has a space here, and anything that doesn't fit doesn't really need to be in here. This is also a little higher than it looks. There's spaces in between. Show you. So I can basically sit up almost totally straight. The other benefit is if we have some tall things, we're not limited to this vertical space. We can go all the way up to the top. I think I'm gonna have to do a little map out diagram of this space and all the things we need to put inside of it first before we can put stuff in, because I really want to make sure I get it right this time. And like I said, we're trying to make everything as accessible as possible, and I think we can achieve that goal. I'm just using Procreate here to do a very basic layout of all my stuff. I'm not measuring things to scale, so I don't know exactly how they're gonna fit in, but I'm just eyeballing it and we'll adjust it as we go. Originally, I wanted to do one skinny path down the middle, but I changed my strategy a little bit. Since my main priority is accessibility, I want to have things in slide out bins, which means I need the pathway to be wide enough to pull them out completely. So instead, I'm going to dedicate this side to skinny objects, like my AC unit, suitcases, toolbox, and my PA unit. On the other side, I'm going to have longer bins that I need to pull out completely to access what's inside. I very quickly realized my floor plan was not accurate at all, but I still was able to follow the general idea. You really need to play around and experiment with layouts in real life to get a sense of what works best, even if you do all your calculations accurately in a diagram. Even though I didn't follow my plan exactly, I was able to stick with the general idea of lining up big objects on one side and putting bins on the other side, and we were able to make enough space in the middle for them to pull out completely. I ended up with these leftover vacuum attachments that I didn't want to put away in a box since I wanted to keep them with the vacuum. So I decided to make a super rough shelf slash pull-out drawer that could fit in the space above the vacuum. I had some scrap pieces of wood that happened to be exactly the right sizes, and all I did was put in a few screws for it to sit on top of. In the future, it would be really nice to make this a little tray that could pop in and out a little bit more neatly, but I just needed a spot to put these, and this worked perfectly.
We have one very last thing to do underneath here. One of the other main issues about this space is that there's no light source inside here. So I actually have an extra light bulb that I don't need, plus this sconce thing here. I think I'm just gonna hang it on one of the beams in the back. That'll give us some light for underneath here. Cool. I could kind of hang out down here.
I truly believe that your bedroom, or in this case your bed, is the most important part in your living space, hands down. At a bare minimum, where you live is where you sleep at night. It's very easy to get caught up in decorating everywhere else besides your bedroom. If you don't have good sleep, you have nothing at all. This is a very studio apartment setup because I have my bed lofted in my living space, but our apartment is actually a 1-bedroom. We had our bed in the bedroom for about a year or even like a year and a half, but it really just wasn't working. It's kind of hard to see the possibilities until you move stuff around. If you have a space that just feels like it isn't working no matter what, and you have a really hard time being comfortable in it, even if you try to make it very comfortable, it might just have a case of mistaken identity. In our case, the bedroom is on a main street, so it has a gorgeous view, but it's very loud. I would have a really hard time sleeping. Our bedroom is very small, so it pretty much only fit the bed. If you wanted to look out of the window, you had to kind of like shimmy in a foot width space, and no one ever really did that. So it really went underappreciated. It wasn't until we looked for a different apartment, because I was just like, I can't sleep here, we don't have any choice, we're gonna have to move, that we had the idea to put the bed into the living room, and it was the best decision ever. I've not stopped thinking about how much I prefer it this way. This is just a sign to try things out and not be afraid to go the unconventional route. I think a lot of people, when they decorate, they think of the guests, they think of what it's going to be like hosting, entertaining. The reality is, you are living in your space 100% of the time, and how often do you really have people over, and is it a necessary trade-off to do that? In my opinion, the answer is always no. It's also pretty unconventional to have the bed right next to the kitchen, but it really doesn't bother me. And that's the sort of thing where you have to try it out and then live with it to see how it works for you. It feels like you're kind of sleeping in a loft every single night, which I think is really super cool. All that is to say, you have the power to build your own space. And even for someone like me, always looking for an opportunity to build my own thing, it still took me so many months of sleeping in a horrible bedroom before I was able to construct this. I hope that you feel like you can take control of your space and make it work for you, and not be afraid to put in that work even if it's temporary. You're gonna be more comfortable living there if it fits well for you versus if it looks perfect. Your bed slash bedroom needs to be comfortable. And there are a few things that make a space comfortable. A, it has to be functional to you. B, it has to be clean and safe. C, filled with things you like. And D, filled with good memories. Hopefully by now we've made it functional. It should be nice and clean and safe. And now make sure you fill it with things that you like. Okay, we're for
for sure running out of time, but I just had an idea that might be genius. I was not planning on putting in any sort of headboard or really doing a lot of styling today. I just did that corner using stuff that I already had, kind of picked out what I thought would look nice and put it over there. It feels so weird to just have this totally white because I like the pillows white and the pillows get lost. I have these curtains that I don't need anymore. Just watched Max Hurd's apartment tour or house tour. It is like hands down one of my favorite interior design tours ever, and I'm obsessed with his room. Now, our bedroom is not exactly going to look like that. We're very open concept here because it's basically a studio arrangement, so you can kind of see everything all the time. If we were more closed off in separate rooms, I would be going insane with the different areas and with color. He has these amazing like drapes. I was trying to figure out if I could incorporate that at all into our apartment. It's a very minimal draping, and I think it would be the perfect addition to just bring a little bit of color. Just feels really weird to do like a final reveal with this super blank wall, especially since I'm so happy with how that corner came out. I think I'm gonna hang that up. I'm going to use string to kind of bunch it and tie it, and we're gonna see how that works. I also don't have like the shell piece that he has or anything like that, which kind of ties it all in together, but I'm curious to see how it looks just with the fabric. The other benefit to doing like one-day makeovers like this is that you don't have a lot of room to give yourself excuses. I have always loved kind of the idea of draping or doing something really funky in the bedroom. I was always nervous to do it because it's kind of a bold choice, and again, I don't mind a bold choice, but especially if you're not living by yourself or you're on a budget, you're less inclined to kind of take risks. I consider just not filming this part and maybe saving it to test out for like a full makeover. However, if I put this up now, it's basically no commitment. I already have the materials. I'm not really expecting it to look good, so there aren't really any stakes. If I decide that I like it, it will give me the confidence to maybe do a drapery thing, or it'll give me idea for another thing that I can do that's maybe a little bit more out there. When I execute it for real, I can, you know, execute it a little bit better. If I weren't to do this now, I might never decide to venture into choices like this. I really debated kind of doing like light birchwood grain all around. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that or for like painted with molding. I kind of decided against wood grain just because I thought molding and paint would be easier because you can kind of hide things a little bit better. But I put this up just temporarily. It's so beautiful. I love it so much how it looks like this that now I feel like I have to go with that idea. I feel so confident to do that, whereas before I was like, I don't know, it's a lot of work to like buy really nice wood and put it everywhere, and what if it doesn't look good? What am I gonna do then? So yeah, you honestly can't really go wrong. Maybe I'll do like a bow at the top or something. One of the most underrated parts about making a home is making memories in it. It's something we don't really think about when we're designing a space, but when you're done designing a space, even if you feel like you're not 100% finished, take the time to invite your friends, take the time to have nights where you stay inside, you have some fun, because that's what is going to fill your actual space. That's what's going to make it feel like home. Don't hold off on inviting people just because your space isn't finished. Do the opposite of that. The more you invite your friends over, the more good memories you have with other people or even just by yourself, the faster and faster it's going to feel like home, and also it will help you identify how to kind of decorate the space and reflect your good memories that you've had in there. On that note, I know a lot of people say to use the bedroom strictly for like resting and sleeping. If you kind of struggle with getting acquainted to your new bedroom, I think it is actually beneficial to do other things in your bed, like watching TV, hanging out. It kind of helps to tell your brain that the bed is not just a place for sleeping, but it's a time for relaxing. And if you have a hard time sleeping and you're getting like anxiety about going to sleep, it can kind of feel like a lot of pressure if your bed is just a sleeping area. For me, I felt way more relaxed on the couch a lot of the time because that's what I associated with winding down, relaxing, not stressing out about sleeping. And that is about it.
I honestly was really surprised by how much confidence this mini makeover gave me. Even just with the styling over here, I think in the back of my mind I was thinking, well, this like looks really nice, but I might change it back to my regular things that I already had there before until I figure out what my long-term final until I figure out what my ultimate solution is over there. But I like it so much, and I could see myself just living it with it exactly like this. If you want like a more luxurious home, just decorate it and it's probably gonna be good. I don't know if that really makes sense. This was a tough one, honestly. I don't know how much work it seems like we did, but it took a lot out of me. But I'm happy that it's over. One of my favorite parts, I think, is this arch. I don't know if I'm going to keep it, but I really like how it looks, and I wasn't planning on doing something like that. I was honestly surprised by how much giving myself the time limit and permission to kind of do temporary fixes that weren't 100% styled. I was surprised at how much confidence that gave me and how nice the payoff was. I hope you found some of this helpful. Thank you for coming along with me. Love to have you here, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.